Hi, everybody, and welcome to the weekly market wrap for May 5th, 2017. Let's get into it here. A couple of things that we were actually looking at. One, not some great news, but sometimes this happens. We actually got stopped out of WPX. We're actually removing that from the focus list. So we incurred a loss here, and we've had a significant downtrend in this company that just continued to go lower. It finally breached our 1175 stop, and we had to get out. It closed, I know this says 1147, but actually closed the day at 1171. That was an after hours quote. So that we removed. To move on, we actually added a company. If I could pull up the chart here, bear with me. A company called Agree Realty. Now, this is a company that we actually have dealt with in the past successfully. What I was looking at this week, Agree Realty, just kind of go through the basics. We added this price this week at $46.02, and they trade on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol ADC, Apple, David, Charlie. And this company's founder and namesake, Richard Agree, he purchased $1.1 million worth of this stock on May 4th. So you're looking at a daily stock chart here. So every one of these candles is a day. And you could see we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was an up day. So basically 9 days straight of lower prices. And then we saw the founder and CEO, Richard Agree, step in and buy his shares right at this level here. Now, what was interesting about this is the last time Richard Agree bought shares, the stock nearly went up by 70%. He basically called the exact bottom back in June of 2015. So just to show you what that looks like, I'm going to pull up a monthly chart of this company. And if we could go to June of 2015, we're talking about right about here. Oh, let me get my handy pen going. June of 2015, we're talking about right here. And then we saw the stock go up in 1 year, 69.24%. So back then he purchased $300,000 worth of it. Now he's buying 1.1 million. So why would you buy 300,000 here and then watch it go up by almost 70% and then buy 1.1 million? There's only one reason, and that's if he thinks it'll continue to go higher. So what we're doing is we're following him in on this. We're hoping that he's going to give us the same type of track record that he's given us in the past, and we'll continue to monitor that. So I was happy about that addition this week. The next thing we're going to look at is the overall market in the S&P 500. This is the Spiders, the ETF that represents the S&P 500. You could see we've had a pretty decent consolidation from basically the end of February until recently. And this consolidation here is basically the highs continue to get tested and we started to go lower. And it seems like each low that we make seems to get a little bit higher and higher, which is always a good sign for the bulls. It shows that when the markets do get down to these levels down here, you're really looking at a lot of demand for stock. So if we could break through these high levels, that would be a pretty big deal. So what I wanted to do is just simply put ourselves in a position that we're at least monitoring what's happening with these prices, because at the end of the day, price is all that matters. Now, a couple of things that actually affected the S&P 500 today, or I should say this week. Number one, today we got our all-time closing high on the S&P 500. So we have a market that has never closed a day higher than we closed today. So I know a lot of people think that's bearish, but it's actually a bullish sign because it points to people's confidence being so high that they're willing to buy a market that has closed higher than any other time in the history of the stock market. So that usually succumbs to higher prices. Secondly, we had the unemployment numbers out for the month of April. Those numbers were the unemployment rate was at a 11-year low. It's about 4.4%. And the third thing that happened yesterday was that the U.S. House of Representatives passed that peel and replace healthcare bill. Okay. So, not to get too political on this, but it does affect the market, so it's worth mentioning. What happens is that if we could get something passed in the US Congress, the next thing that they're going to do is try the tax reform or tax cut, whatever it may be. That's the carrot for the market. That's what the market wants. They want the tax cuts. The reason why they want the tax cuts is if you have a stock that is currently pay or a company, I should say, that is currently paying 25% in taxes, and the tax cut comes, and now they're gonna not, it's a lot of people saying 15. It's not probably not gonna be 15. Let's say they get it down to 19%. All of a sudden, that's a 6% profit for that company. They don't have to produce another widget. They don't have to make another sale. It's an automatic 6% right on the bottom line. What does that do for price to earnings valuations? It lowers them. So by lowering the PE valuations, what has to happen to get them back just to where they were before? The price of the stock has to go higher. If that's the case, then guess what? The overall market continues to go higher. So what I wanted to do is just kind of mention that for you because I think that's a pretty big event. A couple of housekeeping mentions here. Number one, Tesla earnings came out. I know that's on our focus list. Had a bad reaction, then bounced back towards the end of the day. I think at 308 was what I was looking at after hours. Number two, Ford's earnings came out. Had a bad reaction, bounced back towards the end of the week. Not a bad thing. So those are still in play. We're still on our focus list, not worried about them. We still see insiders buying. Now, IFF, which we put on yesterday, International Flavors and Fragrances, excuse me, last week, International Flavors and Fragrances, and WFC, which was Wells Fargo, both of those saw more successful insider buying. So it's great to see that we put them on the list, and it's even better if we could continue to see that insiders are buying their stock. So I just wanted to mention those. Um, Hopefully everything is doing well as far as the overall market goes. It looks like we might be breaking out to new highs again. This chart here that you're looking at is a chart of the Nasdaq 100, the Qs, and what we wanted to do is just basically take a look at this. And once again, this is probably the strongest of all the markets out there, the major indices. So we're just going to continue to follow this. It's probably going to lead us for the rest of the way here as long as the market continues to go higher. So it's about 8 minutes. It's about a wrap. So if you can just take a look at this going forward into the companies that we were focusing on, especially the Agree Realty. And I appreciate you guys checking in. Thanks.